Hi, it's Fiona Masterson from the Learning Reservoir. In this short video, I'm going to take you through the internal auditing requirements that are found in ISO 13485 2016. ISO 13485 2016 is the quality management standard from the ISO organization that can be used by a variety of different types of companies that are involved with medical devices in order to implement a quality management system within their organization. So by implementing ISO 13485 2016, you are in essence implementing a quality management system in your organization. But why should we care about ISO 13485? Why am I creating this video? Well, it is a fantastic way of ensuring that whatever quality system you put in place in your organization, that it will be of good design. So you want to cover all the elements that are required in a quality management system, and ISO 13485 outlines those. And again, why are we looking at audits, the internal auditing part of the standard? Well, I'm creating this video because I believe that the internal auditing program, and I know from my work experience in medical device and companies and being audited by the FDA and different agencies, that the internal audit program in a medical device company is a fundamental element of the quality management system. If you have a strong internal audit program in place, the chances are that your quality management system is very, very strong. And how do we know that? Well, our internal audit program should be checking, verifying that your quality management system is a strong system. And why do we do that? Well, because we want to manufacture devices that are safe for our customer to use and are of good quality. And if you have a strong internal audit program in place, you will be catching any issues with your quality management system in-house before they get out to the customer. And this is a preventative strategy in quality. An internal auditing program is a preventative strategy. Therefore, you don't want issues to arise. You want to preempt things that could go going wrong. And that's why I felt that I really needed to pull out this particular requirement for internal audits within the standard and take you through what is required. So if we take a step back for a moment, there are a lot of different elements to a medical device quality system as per ISO 13485 2016. At the beginning of the standard, you have our scope, our references to other standards, some terms and definitions are described in clause 3. Then we have the elements of a quality management system are in clause 4 that need to be put in place. Management responsibility is called out in clause 5. Resource management is covered in clause 6. Product realization, and this is the part of the standard that looks at the actual making of the product. Clause 7 is covered, but we're going to look at part of clause 8, which is called the measurement, analysis and improvement clause. And it's within this clause you'll find your internal auditing requirements. If you want to get more information on ISO 13485, we have a short video on this YouTube channel that covers and it gives you an introduction to 13485 2006, where we discuss each of those clauses individually. So after this video, hop on over and take a look at that. So let's look at clause 8, because this is where we have our internal audit section. So here we see that in clause 8.2.4 we find the requirements for internal audits within ISO 13485. And what are they? Well, let's break them down. First of all, it states that the organisation shall conduct internal audits at planned intervals. So, in other words, you could use a internal auditing schedule. So here you have to outline, when do you plan to do your audits? Why do you do that? Well, if you don't plan, you're going to fail. So you really need to plan your audits. By planning, there's a high probability that your audits will occur. And here on this picture, you can see example of an audit schedule that I've prepared for one of the auditing courses that I deliver. So we use this as an example in one of our case studies. Part A of the clause states that your schedule or your plan should conform to planned and documented arrangements, requirements of this international standard, quality management system requirements established by the organisation, and applicable regulatory requirement. And it states that your plan should be effectively implemented and maintained. What does that mean? Well, you don't just prepare it at the beginning of the year and put it away in a file. No, it is a live document. So as you do audits, you update it to say they're done. If, for example, you're starting to produce a new product and there's a new area, a new production line put in place, you need to audit that line. Therefore, your internal audit schedule needs to be updated to reflect that planned audit. If there's an issue with a particular product, manufacturing area, maybe you need to audit that area more frequently, for example. Therefore, you need to update the schedule to indicate that you're doing more audits in that area. So it's a live schedule. I recommend it's owned by somebody. You might have somebody called an internal audit coordinator, for example, whose job role would be to manage the schedule. See, it's all about building structure into how you manage your internal audits. By building in structure and planning well, it shows to your inspectors, your external agencies who come in to audit you, that you're taking it seriously. It goes on, the clause 8.2.4 goes on to require that the organisation shall document a procedure to describe responsibilities and requirements for planning and conducting audits and reporting audit results. What's it saying there? Well, it's saying that you need an internal audit procedure. And here we see on the right, here's another example of an internal audit procedure that we use in one of our courses as a case study of an internal audit procedure. So if it's not written down, it didn't happen. That's a philosophy in the whole area of quality management. So you need to have an internal audit procedure. That is a requirement. ISO 13485 2016. You have to have an internal audit procedure in place in your organization. If you're being audited by external body, one of the first questions they most likely will ask you will be, can I see your internal audit procedure? And you need to have it in place. It's a regulatory requirement as per this standard. It goes on in the standard to state that an audit program shall be planned, taking into consideration the status and importance of the processes and areas to be audited, as well as the results of previous audits. So what's it stating there? Well, it's saying, well, you don't just throw down any audit in your schedule. You have to consider, well, what are the most important areas in your company regarding quality issues? Perhaps you have one production area that has lots of issues. Therefore, maybe you need to audit that area more regularly. Perhaps there is an area that is new. It's a new process. You might need to audit that area more frequently. So there has to be, you have to describe I recommend you should describe in your internal auditing procedure how you come up with just choosing when audits to, what areas to audit, and why some audits maybe are done more, areas are audited more frequently than others. It also states in the standard that the audit criteria, scope, intervals and methods should be defined and recorded. So again, you should document somewhere in a quality record, what is your audit criteria for each area, what is the scope of the audit, what are the intervals of the audits, and how you, in your organization, how you conduct your audits. What is the methodology? You should, for example, use trained auditors, and you would describe this within your internal audit procedure. It also states in ISO 13485 clause 8.2.4 that the selection of auditors and the conduct of audits shall ensure objectivity and impartiality of the audit process, which makes sense. So you don't want, really ideally, auditors should not be auditing their own work. So auditors shall not audit their own work. Why? Well, because you'll be biased. if you wrote the document control procedure in your organization, if you were to audit that document control procedure, well, you're not going to see the wood from the trees, are you? You're going to be biased. You're not going to pick up errors. It's highly unlikely in your own work. So in the standard, it states that your auditors should be objective. It also states within the standards that records have to be maintained. And this is for everything in quality management. I hope you understand, is that if you do something in a manufacturing environment, in a process related to quality, you have to record it. So if it's not written down, it didn't happen. That's an important phrase to always remember. If it did, you have to record all your activities when it comes to quality. So it states here in the standard, it's calling it out. Records of the audits and the results, including identification of the processes and areas audited, and the conclusions shall be maintained. So you do your audit, an auditor does an audit, they document what they do, and they record their findings, and that has to be maintained. That's evidence of what happened. And here we can see in this picture is another example of an internal audit report template that can, and then this case study again is one of my documents, a case study document of how you would complete an internal audit report, where you're documenting what was done, who was involved, who was the auditor, who was the auditee, what was the outcome of the audit. And why do we do this? Well, it makes sense, but also it is a regulatory requirement from ISO 13485 2016 clause 8.2.4. And finally, it states in the clause 8.2.4 that the management responsible for the area being audited shall ensure that any necessary corrections and corrective actions are taken without undue delay to eliminate detected nonconformities and their causes. So it's calling out there that when there is an internal audit finding, management of that area has to be proactive. They have to do a good investigation of the issue, come up with some corrective actions, and promptly close out the issue. So for example, if we were looking at perhaps the document control area and you audited that, and you found that within your plant or your site that there was a lot of procedures in a lot of the areas, perhaps hard copy procedures that were just printed off randomly. There was no stamp on them from document control to indicate that they were controlled documents, and you found this across the site. Well, that would be a major audit finding, and therefore the management should promptly do an investigation of why that occurred and put in a fix for that, get to the root cause of the problem, because it's quite a big issue, and it needs to be closed out. It also states at the end here of clause 8.2.4 that follow-up activities shall include the verification of the actions taken and the reporting of verification results. So what does that mean? So in the case of the document control finding, well, when the internal auditor might re-audit that area again promptly, and hence the internal audit schedule will have to be updated because a significant issue was found. So an internal auditor will go back and audit the document control area, then go out to the plant, go into different production areas and see can they find any uncontrolled procedures, hard copies in the area. And if they didn't, they would determine, well, yes, the corrective actions that were put in place worked. And then what do? Well, they document their findings in their internal audit report. That concludes this short video about the internal audit requirements of ISO 13485. I cannot overemphasize how important this program is to a medical device company. It is so important. From my own personal experience, I've seen how internal audits, you can pick up small issues that could potentially come to big issues when external inspectors come on site. So know your requirements here from ISO 13485, put a good strong internal audit procedure in place, train your auditors, and we offer here in the Learning Reservoir training for internal auditors, and design and develop and maintain a tight internal auditing program. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it beneficial. Please hit like for us and you can subscribe to our channel where you will find similar content. Thank you, and have a great day.